Born on another planet and brought to Earth, he didn't choose to be our savior, yet we have pinned our hopes on him. He's a god walking among mortals, pretending to be one of us. But what happens when the most powerful being in the world starts questioning the very world he's trying to protect? This isn't the story of a traditional hero. It's the unraveling of a myth, a tale of a being caught between two worlds and struggling to find his place in the midst of a skeptical and ever-doubtful society. Hello everyone, and welcome to the channel. If you're new here, please feel free to hit that subscribe button and click the bell for notifications. As always, let us get on with today's video. As I record this video, there are only 5 days left to the highly anticipated release of the new Superman film featuring David Corenswet, and the beginning of a new era for the DC cinematic universe. In anticipation of this monumental moment in the world of superhero films, I thought it would be interesting to delve into the deeper history and background of the Man of Steel, and examine how his various interpretations, despite the controversies surrounding some of them, have shaped the character we know and love today. Before the Man of Steel ever graced the big screen, his adventures were first brought to life through radio in the form of The Adventures of Superman. Premiered in 1940 on New AM in New York, this audio adaptation quickly became a nationwide sensation, exceeding all expectations. Despite the lack of a visual representation, the compelling storylines and the charismatic performance of the actors who brought Superman to life through voice alone captivated audiences, proving that the appeal of the character went beyond mere appearances. While the challenge of visually depicting the character remained, the radio show left an iconic mark on American pop culture. When the Man of Steel finally made the jump to television, there were two prominent interpretations that gained significant attention during this time period: Dave Fleischer and George Reeves. Each iteration brought its own unique spin to the iconic character, shaping how audiences experienced the Man of Steel's adventures on the small screen. While these interpretations differed in their approach, they both contributed to the enduring legacy of Superman as an iconic figure in popular culture. Before the iconic portrayals of the Man of Steel by Dave Fleischer and George Reeves, there was a preceding attempt in the theatrical serials of the 1940s, starring Kirk Alyn. Allen's portrayal in the serials provided a stepping stone for future interpretations, including the more iconic versions brought to life by Fleischer and Reeves. While it may not have been groundbreaking, Allen's performance showcased the potential of live-action and animated segments. In 1941, Dave Fleischer and his talented team brought a powerful version of Superman to life on the screen. The animation was so smooth and realistic that it felt like you were watching a memory from a life you had never experienced before. Every frame was a work of art, and the lack of dialogue only added to the sense of anticipation and mystery. The music swelled, the villains screamed, but Superman continued forward, unstoppable like time itself. It was a vision of power and strength that left viewers stunned. There's no bloodshed or gore in the cartoons, but they still managed to convey a sense of danger and intensity. The way Superman effortlessly destroys machines and overcomes obstacles suggests a sort of boredom with the routine. There's a clinical precision to his actions, like he's simply going through the motions. This was the first time audiences got to see Superman in action, and it was a revelation. The character moved unlike any human beings, more like a concept or a symbol rather than a living person. He was a mysterious figure, leaving viewers with more questions than answers. It was as if he was a warning or a riddle that society had yet to solve. In the 1950s, George Reeves captured audiences as he played the heroic character. Behind the smiling face on the silver screen, Reeves faced his own struggles. His journey was both uplifting and challenging. The Adventures of Superman, starring George Reeves, captivated audiences from 1952 to 1958, with a total of 104 episodes spread across 6 seasons. The series propelled Reeves to the status of a nationally recognized figure. Reeves' portrayal of Superman was defined by confidence and composure. His depiction of Clark Kent was intelligent and poised, with the transformation into the Man of Steel being more than just a change in appearance. It was a shift in his entire presence and demeanor. Due to financial limitations, the series often featured the character in more low-key, everyday situations, rather than battling extraterrestrial foes or giant robots. This led to George Reeves being more recognized for his portrayal of the quintessential moral guardian, a symbol of virtue in a time when traditional values were highly valued. As the 1950s drew to a close, there were discussions about reviving the adventures of Superman, and even expanding the franchise with a spin-off series. However, these plans never materialized, and the last episode featuring George Reeves' portrayal of Superman aired without much fanfare, leaving many fans with a sense that a chapter in entertainment history had come to an end. George Reeves' portrayal of Superman left an indelible mark on the character's legacy. While he was remembered for his superhuman strength, his portrayal also symbolized hope, optimism, and the power of childhood dreams. This impact would later inspire Chris Reeves' own interpretation of the iconic hero. Reeves' performance marked a pivotal moment in the evolution of Superman on the screen, transitioning him from a beloved character with unique abilities to a figure who embodied hope and positivity in a time when America needed it most.
Good evening, Miss Lane.
By the late 1970s, Superman seemed like a relic of a bygone era. After the death of actor George Reeves, the character had disappeared from television screens. The world had changed, becoming a darker and more cynical place. People no longer believed that miracles like flying were possible, and the idea of an invulnerable hero was considered naive. The innocence of the 1950s was fading away, replaced by a sense of skepticism and disillusionment. Then came a film that would forever change the way we saw Superman. It wasn't just a story, it was a vision of optimism and hope. And at the heart of it all was a man in red and blue, who made audiences believe again. He was the hero we needed, the hero who would remind us of the best within ourselves. He would be our symbol, our beacon in the darkness. The release of Superman the movie in December 1978 was more than just another addition to the superhero movie genre. It was a groundbreaking, unprecedented cinematic experience that celebrated the ideals of truth, heroism, and hope. At the heart of it all was the remarkable portrayal of Superman by Christopher Reeve, who became a symbol not only of the character's ideals, but also of the film's powerful message.
Do you think you may have the same problem in years to come as Sean Connery claims he's had trying to shape the James Bond image? I don't know how many James Bond movies he made, but it's certainly not as many as most people think.
Listen, I would love to have Sean Connery's problem, because he's one of the world's best actors. He's made more films than you can shake a stick at, and he's a terrific guy respected by the entire community. So if that's typecasting, I'd love it.
How many more Superman movies will there be, though?
I don't know. Could go on forever. I'm only doing one more, and then I'll check out. They said, how much money would it take you to do Superman 4? And I said, there isn't a bank big enough. So we'll see how, we'll see.
Despite his relative obscurity, Christopher Reeve had a solid acting background and had trained at Juilliard. While other big-name celebrities like Robert Redford and Burt Reynolds were considered for the role, Reeve ultimately took on the part and became an icon. His striking silhouette has since become the enduring image of Superman that is etched in the minds of many, a symbol of hope and optimism that continues to inspire long after the film's release. Christopher Reeve's portrayal of Superman was particularly noteworthy due to his ability to embody two distinct personas. As Clark Kent, he portrayed a clumsy, insecure individual who struggled with his identity. However, when he transformed into Superman, Reeves' demeanor changed completely. He stood tall, exuding confidence and righteousness. The simple act of removing his glasses was a symbolic transformation, signaling the shift from humble Clark Kent to the powerful Man of Steel. The critical and commercial success of Superman the movie was unprecedented. The film resonated with audiences, bringing them to tears and propelling the score by John Williams to legendary status. Christopher Reeve's portrayal of the iconic character, however, was a true standout. His interpretation left an indelible mark on the character and catapulted him to become an icon in the pantheon of superheroes in popular culture. Christopher Reeves as Superman was more than just mere acting. He became the go-to icon for the character in the modern age. Reeves' portrayal endured through multiple sequels, and even in the less successful sequels, he remained the heart and soul of the franchise. The cultural impact of his performances was profound, and his portrayal cemented his place in the annals of superhero cinema.
Field rider and horse owner was thrown head first from his horse during an equestrian event in Virginia on Saturday. The fall broke two of his cervical vertebrae at the base of the skull, blocking the passage of nerve signals from the brain to most of his body. Although the situation looks grim, Reeves' family is confident he's getting the best care possible.
By the late 80s, the Man of Steel's popularity was beginning to wane. Box office takings were declining, and the fan base was dwindling. But the real tragedy unfolding behind the scenes was far more heartbreaking. The actor who had made the world believe in the power of hope and optimism was now facing a battle of his own. In 1995, the unthinkable occurred. Christopher Reeve, the beloved face of Superman, suffered a devastating spinal cord injury after suffering a fall from a horse. This accident left him quadriplegic for the rest of his life. The world watched in shock and sympathy as Christopher Reeve's tragic accident left him paralyzed. Instead of giving in to despair, the former actor transformed into a real-world hero, becoming an advocate for the disabled and embodying the very ideals he had portrayed on screen. Even after his untimely passing in 2004, Reeves' memory lived on as a lasting symbol of hope and strength. Despite losing his physical prowess, he remained a symbol of resilience and a true world icon, embodying the spirit and ideals of Superman, even in real life. In the years following Christopher Reeve's injury, there were numerous attempts to revive the Man of Steel on the big screen. The most promising project was a film produced by Tim Burton, with Nicolas Cage slated to play the iconic role. However, the project never materialized in the end, leaving the character and his fans wondering what could have been. Despite the earlier failed attempt to bring the Superman franchise back to the big screen, hope remained. The character appeared in a brief cameo in Andy Muschietti's The Flash, bringing a touch of the familiar back to fans. During this period, the idea of a Superman and Batman film clash was a hotly debated topic. Additionally, multiple attempts were made to develop a Justice League movie, which unfortunately never came to fruition. In the years following Christopher Reeve's accident, Dean Cain had taken on the role of Superman on television, serving as the current iteration of the character during that time. Although Dean Cain's performance as Superman was well received, the most significant portrayal of the character during this era came from the animated series created by Bruce Timm. Timm's adaptation captivated audiences and left a lasting impact on the character. The animated series created by Bruce Timm was groundbreaking in its approach. While it maintained some elements of the campy nature of Christopher Reeve's earlier performances, it also explored more serious and mature themes, bringing a darker edge to the character. This show was one of the first adaptations to offer a more nuanced portrayal of Superman, making it all the more impactful and memorable. The voice acting in the show was also exceptional. Tim Daly's portrayal of Superman was spot on, bringing depth and warmth to the character. However, it was Clancy Brown's portrayal of Lex Luthor that truly stole the show. His performance brought a dark and mysterious twist to the iconic villain. Yes, indeed, the same Clancy Brown who voiced the iconic character of Eugene Krabs in the animated series SpongeBob SquarePants also provided the voice for Lex Luthor in the animated Superman show. Brown's talent and versatility as a voice actor shine through in both roles, showcasing his remarkable range and skill.
You want to be rewarded for failure? I ought to take the whole lot of you and... And what? Go ahead, do it! You'll be saving me from months of bedpans and feeding tubes. And you'll also guarantee that none of you will ever see a penny from me.
Superman's time on the big screen had been less than successful for over 2 decades, and the need for a turnaround became more pressing in the context of the box office successes of series like Sam Raimi's Spider-Man movies, the Star Wars prequels, and Christopher Nolan's Batman films. DC was keenly aware that the Man of Steel needed a reinvention. DC, after witnessing the success of the X-Men films by Bryan Singer, reached out to him for a collaboration. Instead of opting for a reboot, they chose to attempt something unprecedented. Director Bryan Singer was determined to continue the story established in Christopher Reeve's Superman films, making them the official canon for the franchise. In the absence of the late actor, the search for a new face to represent the Man of Steel became crucial. Once DC and Bryan Singer settled on Brandon Routh as the new face of Superman, the decision was met with positive reception from viewers and critics alike. Routh's resemblance to the character was praised, despite criticisms of the story and the outfit. Routh successfully delivered a performance that embodied the essence of Christopher Reeve's portrayal of Superman, capturing the character's energy and emotional depth with remarkable skill and authenticity. While maintaining the classic feel, the design of Ruth's suit received subtle updates to bring the character into the modern age, reflecting contemporary aesthetics without compromising the timeless appeal of the iconic suit. In contrast to the more hopeful and uplifting tone of the previous Christopher Reeves films, the film's tone leaned towards a more melancholy and lonely feeling. This shift in tone added a layer of introspection and vulnerability to the Man of Steel's story, giving the character a new depth and complexity. The film may not have been universally well received, but it left a lasting legacy, with Ruth returning to reprise his role as Superman in the Crisis on Infinite Earths event of the Flash TV show. This further cemented his significance in the ongoing Superman legacy. At the Zyrex channel, we found that while Brandon Routh's performance as Superman embodied several aspects of the character, the disjointed timeline in his film detracted from our overall appreciation of his portrayal. Despite his successes, the movie's inconsistency in telling the story hindered our ability to fully engage with and understand the narrative, ultimately leaving us with mixed feelings about his iconic performance. So, if the movie is set after Superman 2, why does it seem like the events are taking place in the 2000s? Why does Lex Luthor and the Daily Planet have access to modern technology that fits more into the Zeros, despite being set in the mid-80s? Additionally, why does Superman's personality in this film seem significantly grim when compared to his previous portrayals? The plot of the film hinges on the central theme of Superman's return to Earth after dealing with a crisis off-planet, and his decision not to bid farewell to Earth prior to his departure. The story delves into the aftermath of these events, examining the reasons behind his choices and how they impact the world around them. The title of the film essentially encapsulates this central theme, as it becomes a major point of focus throughout the narrative. One noteworthy aspect of this film is the fusion of classic and modern elements. While it has a contemporary feel, its soundtrack features John Williams' iconic music, and the film incorporates iconic lines from earlier Superman iterations. This blend of elements from different eras creates a unique and intriguing juxtaposition, making it challenging to determine exactly when the film is set.
You really shouldn't smoke, you know, Miss Lane.
Don't tell me, lung cancer, right?
You know, you really shouldn't smoke, Miss Lane.
Before we move on to discuss the next iteration of the character, it's worth acknowledging the supposed curse often associated with playing Superman. It's been said that taking on the role, both on the big and small screen, has a significant impact on the actor who plays Superman during that particular period. This notion of a curse has become synonymous with the character and sparks curiosity about its origins and validity. When George Reeves passed away in 1959 from a mysterious gunshot wound, the news sent shockwaves throughout Hollywood and ignited whispers that taking on the role of Superman came with a price. People began speculating that there was a dark, hidden side to embodying the iconic character, implying that the curse was not just a superstition, but a real phenomenon with real-life consequences. Some people suggested it was a self-inflicted act, while others speculated it was murder. Regardless, the tragic circumstances surrounding George Reeves' death marked the start of a mystifying pattern that would afflict the role of Superman for decades to come, leaving many to wonder if there was more to the story than just coincidence. We've touched on the unfortunate fate of Christopher Reeve, who became paralyzed in 1995 and passed away several years later due to complications. Brandon Routh, who stepped into the iconic role in 2006, faced a decline in his career after the film release. Additionally, multiple Superman projects, including movies and TV pilots, fell apart or were shelved, never making it to the public eye. This pattern of misfortune associated with the role has only increased the perception of a curse surrounding the character, and the so-called curse may have impacted some, but the next individual seems to have been affected the most. Let's move on to our next individual, who faced significant challenges and setbacks related to the role of Superman.
I was playing an online computer game on my PC and I got the call, and I actually missed that first call that Zach gave me, unbelievably.
In 2013, following a long period of silence, one individual made a bold attempt to break the curse associated with the role of Superman. Rather than dwelling on past mistakes or failures, this person decided to take a fresh approach and start anew. Zack Snyder's Man of Steel was more than just another Superman film. It was a reimagining. It was a rebirth. It was a portrayal of the iconic hero tailored for a world that had lost faith in heroes. Snyder's vision aimed to present a different take on the character, one that would resonate with a modern audience who had become disillusioned with the idea of superheroes. The film aimed to breathe life back into the Superman legacy and redefine how audiences viewed the Man of Steel. In the aftermath of the success of The Dark Knight, Warner Bros. Decided to approach Christopher Nolan to help revitalize the Superman franchise. Nolan, after declining the offer to direct, instead opted to produce the film. He brought in screenwriter David S. Goyer, who proposed a groundbreaking idea. Instead of portraying Superman as mythical or miraculous, why not approach his arrival on Earth as a first contact scenario with an alien species? This fresh perspective aimed to redefine how the Man of Steel was perceived and understood. Henry Cavill, an up-and-coming British actor, was chosen for the iconic role of Superman. Cavill underwent a rigorous training regimen to bulk up and embody the character physically. When he appeared on the screen, audiences witnessed a Superman who not only looked like a god, but also acted like a stranger. This Superman wasn't smiling at cameras or dishing out moral lectures to criminals. He was instead a scared, isolated wanderer. Snyder's portrayal in Man of Steel was about the journey of becoming the legendary hero, as much as it was about being Superman himself. The tone of the film was heavy, philosophical, and even controversial. Jonathan Kent, traditionally a moral compass, now grappled with doubt about the world's readiness for a hero like his son. Lois Lane was depicted as a relentless pursuer of truth, while General Zod emerged as a tragic product of Krypton's flawed system, more deserving of sympathy than outright condemnation. The film enjoyed commercial success with over $600 million box office revenue, but it caused quite a divide among the audience. Some hailed it as the Superman movie they'd been waiting for, modern, epic, and mythic. Others criticized it as cold, joyless, and a betrayal of the symbol of hope. Despite mixed reactions, the film undeniably brought the Man of Steel back to the spotlight for the first time in years. It was during this period that the acclaimed Injustice franchise gained prominence, adding fuel to the ongoing controversy surrounding efforts to strip the Man of Steel of his characteristic hope and campy spirit. The emergence of this new era in Superman films further distanced itself from the beloved portrayal of Christopher Reeve, contributing to the feeling that the essence of the character was slipping away from its roots. This marked the first time audiences encountered an outright evil Superman since the ill-fated Superman 3. Interestingly, during the period when Superman was absent from the big screen, characters like Omni-Man and Homelander gained significant popularity, solidifying their standing as iconic evil Superman figures in popular culture. After the aftermath of Man of Steel, Superman finally returned to the spotlight. However, this comeback was accompanied by significant issues, including moral, cinematic, and cultural challenges. Rather than allowing Superman to flourish, Warner Bros. Opted to engage in further conflicts, adding to the existing controversies and tensions surrounding the character's portrayal. While fans eagerly anticipated a solo sequel, Warner Bros. Had a different plan in 2016. Batman v Superman: Dawn of Justice was released, a direct sequel to Man of Steel and a swift introduction to a shared cinematic universe. This film presented a dark, violent, and operatic portrayal, marking the first time the two iconic characters shared the big screen after 70 years in existence. Zack Snyder's vision for Batman v Superman: Dawn of Justice wasn't centered around mundane, traditional hero tropes like saving cats from trees. Instead, it delved into complex themes, focusing on trauma, legacies, and consequences. Batman, deeply affected by the destruction of Metropolis, saw Superman as a threat, leading him to prepare for lethal confrontation. The backlash was swift and significant. Fans, critics, and studios all voiced their discontent and concerns. The character of Superman, who had symbolized truth, justice, and the iconic ideals of the American way, was unfairly held accountable for all the perceived shortcomings of the DCEU. Warner Bros. Was deeply rattled by the backlash and sought to lighten the tone. They called for a change in direction, aiming for a more optimistic and upbeat atmosphere. The backlash from Batman v Superman compelled changes in the subsequent chapter, Justice League. However, an unexpected event then occurred. The circumstances around the movie's production shifted dramatically when Zack Snyder tragically stepped away due to the passing of his daughter, prompting Warner Bros. To enlist Joss Whedon to finish the film. This led to extensive reshoots, resulting in a notable change in the film's overall tone. The end result was the 2017 release of Justice League. This film felt disjointed, a product of conflicting visions. The movie received mixed reviews, with critics panning it and fans feeling confused. It felt like a patchwork of divergent visions, resulting in mixed reactions. Critics found flaws, fans were perplexed, and even the portrayal of Superman suffered from inconsistencies. The shift from an alien seeking identity to an awkward character with forced smiles and unnatural visual effects did not enhance the film. While some enjoyed the attempt at a lighter tone, overall flaws, including the writing, contributed to the ongoing complexities surrounding the DCEU. During that period, a fervent movement, marked by hashtags, billboards, and even a flyover at San Diego Comic-Con, passionately advocated for Zack Snyder's original vision. The demand was for a story arc that would revive Superman as a fallen god, rediscovering his humanity. Additionally, due to a lack of solo releases, Henry Cavill's Superman had been primarily reduced to brief cameos within the shared universe, which exacerbated the longing for a more substantial portrayal of the iconic character. While Superman was facing challenges on the silver screen, a new development was silently unfolding on the small screen. A fresh incarnation of Superman emerged, devoid of darkness, anger, or inner conflict. He was simply embracing his classic, quintessential role as the iconic hero we adore. Tyler Hoechlin's portrayal as Superman in Season 2 of Supergirl captured fans' attention right from his first appearance. His performance exuded a sense of familiarity, not necessarily in terms of physical resemblance, but rather in the spirit of his characterization. Hoechlin's Superman embodied the classic charm of the Reeve era, coupled with a modern, relatable demeanor. This portrayal resonated with audiences, offering a fresh take on the character while paying tribute to the beloved Shucks charisma of the past. During the first season of Superman and Lois, Tyler Hoechlin also pays tribute to the character's origins by wearing the iconic Fleischer suit, which evokes the classic look from the 1940s. This homage to the character's early days serves as a visual reference to the formative years of the Superman mythos in the original animation, and adds a nostalgic touch to the series' aesthetic. In the year 2021, a significant event materialized. The long-awaited release of Zack Snyder's Justice League on HBO Max came to fruition. After much fervent demand and public attention, running an impressive 4 hours, the film was true to Zack Snyder's original vision, and it featured Superman in a striking black suit, radiating purpose and determination. This marked a powerful return of the iconic character, leaving a lasting impact on the DC universe. Zack Snyder's Justice League served as the culminating part of a vision that had yet to be fully realized. For many fans who had waited patiently across the years, this film showcased a Superman they had earnestly been waiting to witness. It was a grand finale that finally brought closure to the overarching narrative that had initially begun, but had been left unfinished.
Hey everyone, I wanted to wait until the weekend was over before posting this, because I wanted to give you all a chance to watch Black Adam. But now that plenty of you have, I wanted to make it official that I am back as Superman. And the image you see on this post and what you saw in Black Adam is just a very small taste.
In the closing moments of the 2022 film Black Adam, Henry Cavill's unexpected return as Superman left viewers stunned. Without any prior indications or press leaks, he made a brief yet significant appearance in the final seconds of the film. Fans could hardly contain their excitement as the curse seemed to be lifted. And just days later, in January 2022, Cavill confirmed the news. The news spread like wildfire, causing a massive rejoicing among fans and an overwhelming reaction on the internet. With Superman back, it truly felt like the character had returned to his rightful place. As abruptly as his triumphant return in Black Adam, it ended. A new leadership team had taken over the DC studios, bringing a drastic change of direction for the franchise. Henry Cavill's supposed comeback in Black Adam turned out to be a bittersweet farewell, one that felt abrupt and unacknowledged. Fans were left bewildered, trying to reconcile with the fleeting moment of joy, now overshadowed by uncertainty and disappointment. This turn of events left a bitter taste for many, evoking strong emotions and frustration. The prospect of a second chance that ultimately proved to be a deceptive tease of hope was indeed a cruel twist of fate. The Superman who had endured patiently in the background, never receiving a proper opportunity to shine, had his time in the spotlight snatched away unexpectedly. The abrupt conclusion to his journey in the Cape left fans feeling dismayed and disappointed as they mourned the unfulfilled potential of a character they had passionately supported. The fact that Henry Cavill chose to leave his role as Geralt of Rivia in order to play Clark Kent added an extra level of disappointment to the situation. Unfortunately, both projects have moved forward without him, leaving fans to contemplate what might have happened if things had unfolded differently. The only option left is to reflect on what transpired in the past and imagine how things may have turned out otherwise. When we talk about Henry Cavill's time as Superman, people are split down the middle. Some people see him as a beacon of hope, while others think he's an outcast because of his strength. I'm in the group that thinks he's better than Christopher Reeves. This is the Superman I remember growing up, and the one that fits into the modern tone of movies like Transformers and The Incredible Hulk. It's a shame we never got to see the complete vision of Superman that Henry Cavill could have given us. Henry Cavill brought a dynamic and powerful portrayal of Superman to life, even though his performance deviated from the traditional values of truth, justice, and the American way. Many fans embrace Cavill's iteration as a symbol of resilience and determination, embodying a modern take on the iconic superhero known as the Man of Steel.
Okay, next up is the big one, the true beginning of the DCU. This is called Superman Legacy. This is being written by me. I'm in the middle of it. I'm having a great time doing it. And Superman will be released into theaters July 11th, 2025.
First of all, apologies for the delay in releasing this video. Work-related hurdles and unforeseen pressure made it quite challenging to find time for this project. However, since this video is already quite lengthy, let's proceed to our main topic, which is James Gunn and his take on Superman. The upcoming film, previously known as Superman Legacy, but now just titled Superman, aims to reboot the character from scratch. It focuses on a younger Clark Kent who works as a Daily Planet reporter. This version of Superman embraces values of kindness, humility, and altruistic heroism. The Superman movie is now available for viewing, and I can confidently say that this is the most outstanding interpretation of the character on film to date. With the reboot, the new film has managed to capture the essence of a modern-day Superman in a way that truly resonates with viewers. The story, casting, and overall feel of the film create a compelling experience that stands out as the best iteration of the iconic superhero yet. And that wraps it up for this video. If you liked what you saw, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and share the video with your friends. We always love to hear from our viewers, so feel free to leave a comment below and tell us who your favorite Superman actor project is. Stay hydrated, and we'll catch you next time. Thanks for watching.